To present the keynote address, we call upon a graduate and a parent of Oholei Torah who is a member of our Ravad Haruchni, Rabbi Efraim Mintz. Rabbi Mintz is the founder and director of JLI, the Jewish Learning Institute, that profoundly impacts the work of the shluchim around the world by providing shiurim to over 100 universities and 900 community centers around the world. Rabbi Efraim Mintz.
70 years ago, during the month of Adar in Tafshin Tes, 1949, a prominent delegation arrived at 770. The delegation comprised of two United States justices, Justice Leo Raphael and Justice Philip Kleinberg, and they arrived with a group of court clerks and attorneys. The purpose of their visit was to administer and oversee the procedure as the Frierdiker Rebbe took the oath of United States citizenship with the Rebbe standing at his side. The Frierdiker Rebbe treated this event as a very special occasion, evident by the fact that he chose to wear his shtreimel, something that was reserved for special occasions like Shabbos and Yom Tov. For this to happen, Congress had to authorize that U.S. citizenship can be granted in the privacy of one's residence, given the dignified status of the Frierdiker Rebbe. However, they requested that prior to their visit, the Frierdiker Rebbe should send someone to Manhattan to their offices to sign some papers, some pre-citizenship paperwork. The noted Chassid, Reb Shmuel Levitten, was chosen to represent the Frierdiker Rebbe to sign these papers. However, there was a small problem. Reb Shmuel Levitten did not speak English. So a young American yeshiva student was chosen to accompany Rabbi Levitten as he made his way to Manhattan. This young American yeshiva student was Yitzchak David Groner, who went on to become the legendary shliach of the Rebbe in Australia and the brother and brother-in-law of tonight's honorees, Reb Mendel and Mrs. Nechama Baumgarten, whose memory we honor tonight. As Reb Shmuel and Rabbi Groner made their way to the Chrysler Building on Manhattan's east side, they were ushered into the elevators and they ascended the dizzying heights of this Manhattan skyscraper. As they emerged from the elevator on this high floor in the Chrysler Building, they approached the large windows across the elevator doors. Suddenly, the people, the cars, the trucks, and the buildings of Manhattan shrank and were reduced into miniature dimensions. Reb Shmuel was visibly moved. You see, Reb Shmuel Levitten was born in a small town in Lithuania, and he spent most of his youth and adult life thus far in small towns in Russia. And he arrived on the shores of the United States by boat. He had never encountered the world from such great heights. He was seeing the world from a frightening vantage point. At that moment, he grabbed the arm of Yitzchak Groner and he said the following words that were repeated to us when we were students in Oholei Torah by Rabbi Groner many years later. He grabbed Yitzchak Groner and he said, "Itcha, gib a kuk. Am hebt sich auf a bissel hecher, wird ganz oilem hazer kleiner." He says, "Look, Yitzchak, look happens when we lift ourselves upwards? The entire world becomes small, miniature, and insignificant. Rabbi say, fellow Chassidim, ladies and gentlemen, as we assemble tonight to partner with, to support, to acknowledge, and to celebrate the Rebbe's vision of Oholei Torah, a mosid, an institution that is designed by the Rebbe to elevate its students, to elevate its student body to greater heights, to look down at the skyscrapers of Olam Hazeh. Oholei Torah was designed to educate its Talmidim, not to live in the gutter, in the trenches. The Melamdim, the dedicated faculty and staff of Oholei Torah, to whom we pay tribute tonight, are the elevator operators who raise the students' consciousness to great spiritual heights, showing them the loftiness and the greatness of their neshamis and their potential. In these classrooms, in this and the other buildings of Oholei Torah, each and every Talmid is taught the awesomeness of their potential, of their abilities, and the great task that they're called upon to do. On the wings of Torah and Chassidus, they elevate their students high above the mundanity of this world, from a vantage point that the world is rather small, fearable, and unintimidating. Rabbi say, and when the elevator doors open to the next stage of their life, in whichever path, profession, and career they choose to pursue, the world is not daunting, the world is not challenging or intimidating. They emerge from the elevated classrooms of Oholei Torah to see a world beneath them, miniature, insignificant, and unintimidating, preparing themselves and the world lekabolas pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. Given their destination, high above the skyscrapers of Olam Hazeh, there's less of a need to teach our Talmidim what the citizens of the world may need to learn. Language, social studies, science, algebra, geometry, biology, US history, Shakespeare. The language, the geometry, the mathematics of an Oholei Torahnik is on a different plane. They speak, indeed they do, a different language. Not a language necessary for a world they're not destined to live in. As the Pasuk tells us, L'man yirbu yimeichem v'imei vneichem al ha'adama. Oholei Torah educates his Talmidim to live al ha'adama, looking down, not up, at the skyscrapers of Olam Hazeh. Allow me to conclude with the following. On a recent trip to Eretz Yisrael, I took the new high-speed train from Ben Gurion Airport to Yerushalayim, lasting only 23 minutes. After taking my seat on the train, a gentleman came into our car and he announced that a minyan from Ma'ariv is about to begin in the next car. I joined the minyan, and as I davened, and I recited the bracha, V'lirushalayim ircha berachimim tashuv, I had a machshava zara. It struck me that during the time that I said that bracha in Shemona Esrei, I had traveled several miles closer to Yerushalayim. Then I realized that every bracha, every tefillah, every mitzvah that we do, we are essentially moving ourselves and the world to our final destination, to Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. It's just that we don't see our progress. The journey is not visible. It's not tangible for us to recognize. But Rabbi say, this is the mandate and the mission of Oholei Torah. Let's pause for a moment and consider the fact that this institution, the present student body of Oholei Torah, and the alumni of Oholei Torah dispatched around the world are moving Klal Yisrael towards Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. Which yeshiva could say that the products of their Daled Amos is literally moving buildings, moving countries, moving cities, and moving souls one by one towards Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh? Rabbi Sai, please join me in expressing our immense hakaras hatoiv, our deepest gratitude to the leadership, to the board of directors, to the Menahalim, the administration, the teachers, the Melamdim, the Rashi Yeshiva, and the Mashpiyim. Yehi ratzain shetishra shchina b'maaseh yideichem. May you be blessed with kol tuv sela, with chiddush and nachas from each and every one of your children and grandchildren, with gesund, with harchava gedoyle begashmis uberuchnius, with psuros, toivos, umesamchos, yeshuas and brachas b'chol hamitztarech, miyodoi hamleya hapsucha hagdosha v'harchava, ubetoiv hanir v'hanigla, and may we merit to conclude this journey as we meet our conductor, the Rebbe B'Roshenu, the Mehedo Yameinu Mamish. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Mintz, for those uplifting words and for elevating us. Your recognition of the Mechanchim is greatly appreciated. Rabbi Mintz is a man who is way ahead of his years. In Pirkei Avos, which we learn now, it says, Ben chamishim le'etza. For many years already, hundreds of shluchim and maistis around the world turned to Rabbi Mintz to consult with him, and he is known to always have a good and practical etza. Well, finally, this week, Rabbi Mintz turns 50 years old, Ben chamishim le'etza. We would like to wish him a happy 50th birthday. Like it says in today's parsha, "V'kidashtem eshnas hachamishim." You should have a shnas hatzlacha and much continued hatzlacha on all the work and everything you're involved with, and much nachas from your children.